Welcome back to a new episode about multidimensional arrays in PHP. As the name suggests, every element in the array can be an array, and they can also hold other sub-arrays within. This can be a multidimensional array, so basically a two-dimensional array. It can also be a three-dimensional array and even a four-dimensional. And you can even go on, it can even be an eighth-dimensional. But you need to keep in mind that everything after a two-dimensional array is pretty complex. So what we did in the previous two episodes was creating an array, so let's say variable cars, and setting it equal to array, and adding some values, so let's say Volvo, Audi, and Mercedes, in double quotes of course. But what you can do with a multi-dimensional array is adding another array inside the cars, instead of a string like Volvo. So let's replace Volvo, so let's remove it, with another array. And this might be pretty confusing for you, and you probably might think, why do we ever need an array inside of an array? Well, let's say that you want to make a chessboard game inside PHP. The board has some squares, and each square can have a playing piece on it. You could store the state of each square inside an array. Or you might have a table of data of students from your class, and the columns are the data of every student, but the rows can be the average grade, and the second row can be the student number, and so on. So let's put it into use and start programming. So let's remove the cars array. What my main goal is to separate expensive cars from inexpensive cars. So we want to create an array inside our cars array with expensive cars, and that consists of an Audi, Mercedes, and BMW. And we also want an array with inexpensive cars, and that consists of cars of Volvo, Ford, and Toyota. So what we are basically going to do is to make a two-dimensional array with expensive cars and inexpensive cars inside one array. So let's create our new array, called cars again, and set it equal to an array. And we want two arrays inside of it. So let's write down our double quotes. Now let's add the first one, which is expensive cars, and the second one is inexpensive. Eventually, we are creating an associative array because we want to assign some values to expensive and to inexpensive. So what we used to do with associatives array is saying expensive is equal to greater than Audi. But instead of using this method, we want to associate it with a new array, just like this. So right now, we have an array called cars, and we added a new array inside of our array. So we're already talking about a second dimension. Now let's do the same thing for inexpensive. That's associated with a new array. So if we save it and refresh the browser, nothing's happening. And that's good because we're not getting an error message. Let me style this a little bit to make it look better. So let's go one line below with expensive. Let's hit tab. And after the comma of expensive, let's hit another tab. And after the array of the inexpensive cars, let's hit another enter. This looks kind of better, so it's better readable. So what we can do now inside of our arrays, we can add the expensive cars. So let's say the first one is Audi, the second one is Mercedes, and the third one is BMW. Let me zoom out a little bit. Yeah, this looks better. And we can do the same thing for inexpensive, which is Volvo, Ford, and Toyota. And if we save it and refresh it, nothing's happening, and that's good, because we aren't getting error messages. So what our main goal right now is to access these elements. So what we've done in the previous episode was echo out cars, add brackets, and inside our brackets, we want to specify the index. So what we used to do is expensive because we're working with an associative array, and with regular arrays, we would have probably write down 0 or 1 or 2 or 3. So let's save it. refresh the browser, and you can see that we're getting an error message right now, because array to string conversion. So what we need to do in order for the multidimensional array to work is to access the key of the array that is associated with expensive. So Audi is 0, Mercedes is 1, and BMW is 2. So we need to go right after expensive and create a new set of brackets. And inside our brackets, we want to specify the index. So let's say 0. Let's save it, refresh it, and the output is Audi. And if we change it to 2, the output is BMW. If we change expensive to inexpensive, save it, refresh it, and index number 2 is equal to Toyota. And this is basically a multi-dimensional array in PHP. You can even make it more complex by adding another array inside of the array. So instead of Volvo, we can create a new array. But I won't be doing that right now, because that's not something that we will be needing in the rest of this course. Thank you for watching this episode, and I will be seeing you in the next one.